So if Toby and Andrew aren't in No Way Home, we are burning down every city, right? Like that's the plan.
I mean, that's to be expected at this point. Like, can I just mention right now that I fucking love that Sony has had to do zero marketing for this movie?
Yeah, I
Like
know.
the fans have marketed No Way Home so miraculously that it's just insane. Like our expectations
I'm
right
sure
now.
they love it too, unless of course they're not in the movie, in which case they're probably about to do a suicide cult.
I mean, that was already in the script. Like, if this movie doesn't sell so many tickets, we're all committing seppuku right here.
No,
Um,
no, it's not. I just it is funny though because so first of all, the reason I said that is because I like to open up every video with a bombastic, funny intro. But so what this video is really about is just the future of the MCU, Marvel fatigue. You know, is are we about to get too much? How are we feeling about it in general? How did you want to introduce this video, and then we can go back to the topic we were talking about.
so there's like three major points that I want to touch on in this video, and we will probably get to two of them, and then our brains will spin off into 75 tangents. But
True.
Marvel fatigue is a big one, but more so superhero fatigue in general, because it's something you felt a little bit you or were thinking you were feeling with when you went to see Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
and it's something
So
I
with
felt.
Suicide Squad, sorry, go ahead and
It's
finish your
something I
thought. Yeah.
felt when I was watching Eternals. And then
Yeah,
the
but
other.
Eternals sucked though. Like that one is like pretty universal. I heard is like kind of meh. Maybe not sucked, but like I'm hearing like 6 out of 10 type shits from Eternals.
Yeah, and I think that we're getting to that point where now, and this, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, part of this video kind of came to me while I was listening to the latest off topic, but the other part was something I felt very very bad. Like going through quarantine, really. Like we were in like this superhero drought where there was no quote unquote cape shit, but then there was literally too much all within one like finite burst here. Like we had WandaVision, Cap and the Winter Soldier and Falcon series. We had fucking What If. We had Black Widow, Shang-Chi. We had Eternals, and now we have Hawkeye, all within like literally a year of each other. Couple in, if you're a DC fan, like all of the um, the movies that they were doing for the animated. You had Young Justice come back. You had this Suicide Squad, and now in a few months you'll have the Batman. Robert,
I don't
what?
know. I mean, like my take on this personally is like I get where it comes from, but like I try not to let it bother me too much,
Mm-hmm.
because I look at it in the same way that like it's like the same as people that say like, oh, I'm sick of anime. It's like you can't be sick of anime. Like anime isn't a genre of animation; it's a location. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's the only thing that anime means is it's all animation from a specific area. So
Yep.
it's, you know what I mean? Like you can get drama, you can get comedy, you can get horror, you can get anything from anime, right? And so the same way I feel about, like, I feel like you can do almost anything in the guise of like superhero like flicks, right? So like I think WandaVision's a perfect example. That's a show, with the exception of the last episode, where of course they had to go back to their pretty stereotypical way that Marvel ends things. You know, fight a big bad CGI army or whatever the fuck. You know, like, that.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of that last episode, I think that
It was all.
WandaVision
Yeah, it was like a
I think that
sitcom within it.
WandaVision was like a really, really experimental, interesting, like new
Mm-hmm.
thing that I hadn't seen before, right? So just in general, like the too much superhero thing doesn't bother me. What I will say is it's getting harder to keep up with like watching literally every Marvel thing in order to get all of the stuff. You know what I mean? Because like I can't be bothered to see Eternals. Like it doesn't interest me, right? So I
S-
certainly hope that like but I have a feeling it'll be important, so I probably should. You know what I mean? So it's getting
Well,
a little
January
harder.
12th, you can watch on Disney Plus.
Sure, I'll probably do that, or maybe I'll fucking bum. I'll just watch it when I'm at your place, or for the next 6 months, at some point, I'm sure. But like, what I'll say is like, I guess ending off my comment on this, it's inherently when you have a bunch of shit, it devalues all of it, right? So like, that is true. The Marvel movies, when you're releasing 4 Marvel shows on Disney Plus and like 3 Marvel movies all in one year, they start to feel a little less special. It's kind of like how if Bo Burnham announced that he was gonna do a live show like tomorrow, everyone would fucking shit their pants and like nut until they fucking die, like that Scary Movie guy. But like, if I don't know, Nickelback was like, "Here's our 13th live show for the year," you know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna care because like it's Nickelback and there's a million things of Nickelback, or even something that someone likes. Maybe Nickelback wasn't a good example. You know, like let's go see a circus. Circuses are everywhere, right? But like, I guess it was more special when there was a couple a year, but the more they do, it feels like it's not like a special event anymore. And now they're like, just every 2 months there's a fucking Marvel thing. So in that regard, I see the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like on principle, like you're too many and therefore I'm sick of superheroes in general, right?
So what it feels like it's created a twofold effect for me, and I am the biggest MCU simp on the channel. It's pretty well known that I watch everything that Marvel shits out eventually, and
Oh yeah,
that's
I mean, I love it too because like the comic, I can't be fucking bothered with the comics, but the fucking movies make it bearable for me to like follow it all.
hmm. But see, here's the thing. Like when you create 9 million of a fucking a project, right? Like say for our sphere, like we put out 75 analysis videos on every fucking devil fruit. I'm definitely not calling out a YouTuber.
Oh, dude, yeah, Teching really has had that. I will. Teching really has had that issue where he's like running out of things to talk about, even in One Piece. Yeah.
Right, and he ran into it with Bleach, and you eventually in the sphere of creation you come into this problem when you create so many of something, you're going to have middling versions of it. So like,
Yeah.
for example, for me, like I love Shang-Chi. I thought it was a fantastic movie. It definitely followed that Marvel formula, but it did something unique, right? Eternals and Black Widow were two movies that really didn't need to fucking exist. I'm sorry. I love the character of Black Widow. You know, I love the comic
But
version where
yeah, but
it's
can she like carry a solo thing is the question, you know?
uh, what they tried to do with that movie was pull three of the darker storylines of the comics out and make it into a PG film. They did what
How?
they did what they could with the rating they were given.
You mean PG-13, right? There's no way that shit was PG.
I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know.
No, it's had to be PG-13. Just on
Let,
the sex appeal of Scarlett Johansson alone. It had to
let
be
me see.
PG-13.
Let me see. Black Widow.
I'll bet you fucking $10. I want $10 PayPal to me if it's PG-13.
Is Black Widow a bad movie? Is one of the first things. Well, it depends on who you ask. Blah 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 blah. Fucking give me the rating, Wikipedia. Why is that not a
Just
thing?
type Black Widow rating. Freak.
Black Widow rating PG-13. Okay, fuck you.
All right, $10. $10.
I'll take it off your tab. How about that?
All right.
But see, they did what they could with the rating they were given. Eternals was all over the place pacing wise, right? Like you had a flash forward and then a flash back and then a flash forward and a flash back. And you had all fucking the sepia filter over. Like you went at Instagram, like, oh, let's see, I'm feeling a little bit of this today.
Also, just like conceptually, like it's like the trailer looked so fucking boring to me, right?
Because, the trailer was the worst part of that movie, though.
Something I liked about that's interesting, but something I like about the MCU is that they kind of like strayed a bit more away from magic and went towards more of like explaining the powers with a more like scientific lens. Even the like objectively magic powers, like Doctor Strange, they used like fancy Doctor Who language to explain it. Like, oh, we tap into the energy of alternate universes. And I love that, right? Like you can please tell me, I am curious, but it looked like from the trailer that they're just like space wizards. You know what I
mean? Space wizard.
Are they?
Not entirely, but you're also
explain to me how their powers work. That's what I want.
They all. I know jack shit about the Eternals from the comic perspective.
From the movie, whatever. I don't give a fuck with the comics.
I know they're a race of like immortal beings, blah 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 blah. But each one of them has their own unique power that's given to them by the deity that births them, essentially. One of them can kind of bend space and time like Orihime and repeal, whatever damage was done to this person, yada, yada, yada. Another one
It's
is
just like,
fucking basically Superman. Another one can utilize like some sort of speed power. It's
right, okay. So not
it
even what their powers are, but like, so is literally the only explanation of how they have powers like some random space deity gave it to them. That's it.
basically, yeah.
See, that's everything I hate, right? Because and I know you like the Power Rangers type, yada yada, but like I've never liked the genre of like even like the magical girl thing where it's just like I'm a weird deity and I'm granting you these powers that are
But
unexplained
that's
out
also
of nowhere.
fucking Bleach, but they go deeper into it, right?
Well, I don't know about all
But
that because
but
Bleach
like
is a whole ass.
but for like the intro, Rukia just like, here, take my powers.
Yeah, but to me, Soul Reapers, even though they don't feel like when I say deity, I mean like unimaginable type god. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Soul Reapers may be deities, but they're like weak compared to like a god. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
but
like
I'm
when you
just
think
saying,
of
you take that initial concept. If they would have explained it like they would, as Zanpakuto or
sure, yeah, if
Reishi,
it had like rules and like the
right?
power system made
That's
sense.
what I'm
Yeah, because
saying.
I like. Yeah, you go ahead.
Like that concept, like that, like this person bestows power upon you to do X. Their entire fucking purpose was to guard Earth from deviants. Blah 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 blah. In the comics, spoiler alert, fucking Thanos is one. So why did they interject with that? Was one of fans' major complaints. And this
Well,
is
I know. They actually in the trailer they asked them that, like, where the fuck were
right.
you guys?
Where were you, like, in any, major, like, when fucking New York was attacked, when fucking, Dormammu is fucking wreaking havoc on space time. Like, these major.
You could ask that question, but in the comics, you could ask that question literally anytime anything happens. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like, yeah,
Right. Like, from that perspective, I'm like, okay, that doesn't bother me as much. But at the same time, like, you did nothing to explain, really, the concept of these characters that you're introducing to be a major force leading phase 4, 5, blah, 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 blah. Just like they really didn't explain any of, like, fucking Captain Marvel stuff. Like, they didn't really dive too deeply into her character. And that's another one that, like, conceptually is integral to so many factions inside Marvel.
right. But like, one of the things I like about the movies is that they don't feel like I don't know, like shackled to like to do
Right.
everything exactly like the comics do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that same vein of like explaining why certain characters don't show up to certain things, I thought they did that really well in Doctor Strange, where it's like, yeah, no, the Avengers handle like physical threats, we handle like metaphysical threats.
Right.
You know, like there's constantly interdimensional shit happening that you fucks don't even know about. And
Right,
that's what
and then Captain Marvel kind of got explained away in like Infinity War and Endgame, and like I deal with the cosmic shit.
Yeah, I was just off planet. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just off planet dealing with this thing over
I
here.
mean that makes plenty of sense too, because it's like
Right.
it wasn't just Earth that got half shit snapped. The whole universe did. So she
Exactly.
would be busy.
Yeah. And the same thing with like the Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that. Those would be things that those teams would deal with inside the actual, universe itself. But now we're getting to, and the other major point of this is like we're getting to like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. We're getting to all of these new, and then Agatha getting her own series that was announced at another event. Like there's so
I
many.
liked Agatha. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, Agatha was a great introduction. Like there's so many projects being announced of this. Like we're still going to have duds and we're still going to have these A-list movies, but all of them being so super important and having to consume all this media is really factoring into this like burnout inside the genre.
Yeah. What I'll say is that like I think I don't have a problem with it on its head as long as you need to make it like soda flavors, right? Like you have to make it so like you choose you can pick and choose what you want to watch. So like if you like Agatha, you can watch the Agatha one. But if you but maybe you like Agatha but you don't like you're not interested in She-Hulk. You just watch that one, not the other one. But they have to but at the same time I don't want them to stop doing really interesting interconnected stories either. So all I think that they should do is kind of do what Oda did when he did the Reverie arc in One Piece, where it's like if you're watching, let's say, I don't know, Avengers 4, Electric Boogaloo, like
you tried.
We're on to some fucking crazy Avengers where it's like Shang-Chi and like the Eternals and like I don't know, it's all the new fucks, right? Like just give us like a 30-second
Previously
some character being like, oh, who's this fucking guy, and then like
have it explained by
like,
the dude from fucking Ant-Man.
Yes, absolutely. Like I just want the dude
you see this crazy event over here happened, and then this over here, and this over here, and then
Ant-Man needs to be in every single future Marvel movie and just be like, all right, we know there's a lot of Marvel
I
shows.
want him and Deadpool explaining the plot to every fucking show.
Like, and it's funny because there is a Disney Plus show right now called According to Olaf or whatever. Have you seen that?
I have not.
So have you seen Frozen 2? I
have not.
So in Frozen 2, there's a scene where Olaf recaps Frozen, but it's like really fun. It's in the similar style to like the dude from Ant-Man, where he's like all over the place and crazy. So, and people like that so much that now there's a bunch of shorts on Disney Plus where it's Olaf explaining different Disney movies.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So just imagine that. Honestly, they should just do that, where it's like, hey, before you watch this movie, you're going to need to know, or yeah, they can do that too. Like, hey, going into this movie, here's the things you need to know about to enjoy it fully. Just give us a list. So I know. Okay. All right. I guess because eventually I'm sure they'll be like, all right, in order to enjoy fucking Spider-Man 5, you're going to need to know a little bit about the Eternals. I'll be like, fuck. All right.
let me go read a fucking 30-second synopsis on this fucking website over here, and I can guarantee there are people that do that. Like, I don't want to be bothered watching all this bullshit. Just give me the synopsis. Okay, here, because there's 25 movies now.
Well, they've always been really good. Yeah, they've always been really good at like making it so you don't need to have seen everything. Like I still to this day haven't seen the Captain America movies, and I have a feeling these days, like I might be more interested in that now. But when Marvel shit first started, I was like, that sounds
the politics
really
and the war, scary.
Which is funny because now I probably would be interested in that actually, because there's Nazi stuff and like I always find that kind of shit fascinating.
Captain America 1 is possibly one of the worst fucking Marvel movies ever created.
Really? It was 2 the one people really like? I know there's one that people love.
2 is the Winter Soldier. That is the one that the fight choreography alone in that movie makes it a 10 out of 10.
But anyway, saying all that, I was able to watch all the Avengers movies not knowing anything about Captain America or his story, but I picked it up through context, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right. Yeah, so like usually they're pretty good at that.
Yeah, like early on it wasn't hard to do that, but now that everything is so interconnected and like there is a beautiful timeline that I love that just shows the events of every fucking thing that was canon up until they're like, nah, we're not going to count Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the
Tragic
Inhumans or fucking Agent Carter, any of that is canon anymore. But there was a fucking graph, I think it was Time Magazine that had it, that just showed like where each individual episode took place and each individual movie on a timeline. It was the most fascinating thing to me at the time, and I ended up watching all of that leading up to Civil War in that fucking order.
Yeah, I'd be down.
It was like 90 fucking hours of my life.
Hey man, those movies are consistently well made. I don't care what like fucking movie snobs would be like.
It's cape shit. It's horrible. Yeah. No,
because I know movie snobs like that are like, oh, Marvel, it's killing the film industry. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing, bro. They're consistently well-made movies with consistently well-done effects and action and consistently interesting and fun characters. That's all I really
And you're over there remaking King Kong for the 17th time. Shut the fuck up. You can't argue with that, though. Like, out of everything that's coming out of Hollywood right now, there are more reboots and remakes than are necessary, and like at least early on, the MCU especially was like this breath of fresh air to cinema. Like now, obviously, it's created a trend, multiple trends, really, like the cinematic universe bit, and then like the bombastic CGI and special effects being more utilized. Like before this, like the most that was actually put into special effects was The Matrix.
Speaking of that, dude.
I need to sit down and watch all the Matrix movies again because it's been too long.
I'll do that with you.
I am going to see The Matrix. I am objectively optimistic, but I'm also hesitant to like get too hyped because the last 2 Matrix weren't great.
Yeah, The Matrix has always been a guilty pleasure story for me. You know, like it's objectively like, you know, just fine. Like it's not like it was groundbreaking effect wise, but other than that, like it's like plot wise, character wise, it's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what it did really well.
Did you see what I put up on our Twitter?
Do you mind if I finish my take and then you can let me know? What Matrix did really well was it did so well at like kind of scratching that itch in people's brains of like, you know, like it's stupid, but like we've all had that like, are we in a simulation thought before? And like the Matrix just like does it so well, and it adds on and add on the fact that like the Wachowskis are both like huge anime fans, so the fight scenes are fucking phenomenal. Like I don't think that there's ever been a better, maybe with the exception of the live action Scott Pilgrim movie, the live action Scott Pilgrim movie and the Matrix are like two of like the only examples of like successfully bringing anime like choreography to fucking live action. It's so good.
Yeah, I will say there's a need for this series I put up on our Twitter. And I love your take on this being into like the old timey and the like Doctor Who sense. But like a docu-series exploring the futures of the past, like what past generations thought the future would look like. I would love to see a docu-series diving into like how much of that became reality and how much of that is so far out of the fucking ballpark.
Yeah, I'm surprised it doesn't exist. Because I mean, you can find like the little flying like car orbs that I thought we would have.
Right, like for example, like the food. I forget what it's called, but in like in the early Star Trek, they had a way to like just beam food to your fucking plate. And like that wasn't too far off from like where we're supposed to be tech wise now. Or you know, like flip phones being so prevalent in like 90s, like they would still be used in the 2000s, the 2010s. Like there's such a beautiful, even the fucking Jetsons, like
which by the way, George Jetson is supposed to be conceived this year. Did you hear about that?
I've heard.
Because he's like, they did the math. He's like 40 something, and it takes place in a certain year, and yada yada. Yeah, so like basically, George Jetson will be born next year. Yeah.
So I got a proposal for everybody: a boycott on the name George. No,
not allow him to exist.
No children are allowed to be named George. They're conceived between now and next year. How do we know that George Jetson wouldn't be Space Hitler?
It's true. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about? So, I'm currently sitting in the parking lot of a Meijer. I need to get some groceries.
Yeah. So like just to wrap all of this up, because don't want this to be too long, because you still got to edit and do some other things before we come full back. There's two things I want moving forward with, like not just the MCU, but any future cinematic universe, any style of this to come out in the future. I know like every cinematic universe besides Marvel has failed to take off, like the Dark Universe, Monster Universe.
I have hope for Nintendo and Sonic to like branch off and create something.
I'm hopeful. I am hopeful for that.
Because I hear my vision is that Sonic
Smash Brothers universe.
My vision is that the Sonic movies continue to get really popular and good, and then the Nintendo movies continue to get really popular and good, and then at some point there's a crossover. I'm just imagine.
I would love that. I would love that.
Chris Pratt Mario fucking going up against Jim Carrey Eggman.
That's two massive egos in a room.
It's a Mario. Get the fuck out of here, Jimmy Dore. Wait, why did I say Jimmy Dore? Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy.
Jim Carrey, get out of here. Hippity hoppity. I got the frog suit.
Remember? You know what? No, I don't want to bring up Jimmy Dore. The fucking goddamn. I used to be really into him. He was like a political guy. I don't think I officially ever denounced. I used to recommend him a lot. He's gone off the fucking deep end. He is literally the Alex Jones of like the left in quotes. He's like hardcore Alex Jones now. Like he's kind of a weirdo. So you know, I denounce him. I used to be a big fan. He's crazy. Anyway.
So there's your public denouncement of a political YouTuber in this video.
It's unfortunate.
You have his autograph somewhere. You should just cancel that.
Now it's less of like I have his autograph on the wall because I like him, and more of like, wow, That's a
Look
crazy
how
time.
far my character arc has come.
Yeah.
No, but like here's what I want. And Red, you can correct me any way you want, but this is what I want. I want at the beginning of every phase of Marvel a previously on that recaps everything. Like
I mean, fuck, they could do that at the beginning of like any movie. Like if like the movie that you're seeing, it's like, oh, it's important to know about Agatha or whatever. Like that could be part of like the little flash it shows you. You know what I mean?
yeah, that would be great too. And then before we start introducing the mutants, and I'm going to give spoilers for Eternals post-credit scene, and 3, 2, 1. So at the end of Eternals, there's a voiceover between basically Kit Harington's character, which is the Black Knight, and then the sword that transforms him into that. And then in the background, you hear Mashara Ali, who's going to be playing Blade. So and to give a bit of
Oh, so
Marvel,
they're bringing in like X-Men type shit into the MCU.
well, Blade was already one of those that was announced that they were going to be having before the mutant movies would be coming out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now a bit of Marvel history. The first like really popular in a cult perspective, I guess, Marvel movie was Blade, who was also the first R-rated superhero movie.
Mm.
So you had,
So if they're doing multiverse shit, they could bring him in.
well, Mashar Ali is already the announced to be joining this version of the MCU versus Wesley Snipes, which was the original Blade. You know, I guess too much tax evasion banned him from the MCU. Not to say that Robert Downey Jr., for example, wasn't problematic early on, or you know, Chris Pratt is squeaky clean. Anyway, the Mashar Ali being Blade really got me hyped for that. But to get Blade in there, you have to have a hard R for that character. Not just Deadpool, like you have to have a hard R for fucking Blade.
No, I know what you're saying. You're talking about the rating, but I'm just imagining the slur.
And it also doesn't
he's gotta say it with a hard R. It's really important to his character.
Well, he's also black, so he can say it.
But he's gotta say it with a hard R.
God damn it.
That's the way you keep the Marvel movies fresh. You just start adding fucking just hard
adding
slurs.
Yeah, great.
I mean, you know, fucking Nick Fury would.
Listen here, you motherfucker. I'm just picturing it in like I'm tired of these motherfucking sakes on this motherfucking plane.
Remember when he said to Spider-Man? Remember when he said to Spider-Man, like, "Bitch, you've been to space." Instead of "bitch," he would have said the other one.
But in this scenario, it's the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh my god! No, dude. Black people call like white people that are their friends that all the time.
Well, look at Thurman. He throws it around like it's going outside.
Yeah. So like, imagine like innocent ass Tom Holland Spider-Man getting called that. Like, I don't think you know how to react.
I don't think he would. But no, like, I if you're going to have a Blade movie, it's got to be R-rated. Because this is a dude that slices up vampires, and it's just necessary.
Yeah, MCU needs to start doing that, and now that Deadpool's in the MCU, like,
and confirmed to be an R-rated movie, allegedly.
Wait, so like, how long until Deadpool like makes an appearance in like an actual MCU?
Well,
like,
Ryan Reynolds is taking time off from acting after Free Guy. So after he comes back from his hiatus, I guess he's too busy making shitty gin and campaigning on social media. I love the man. Oh, that's right, he is.
That is kind of cool though, because as far as I know, it's like a super cheap phone plan for people that are like too poor.
It's not just that; it's like, you know, there's people that don't use a lot of data and are always on Wi-Fi. But like, that's a cool thing. Like, yeah. But yeah, I've tried his gin; it's horrible. I'm also not the biggest gin guy in the world, so my endorsement would mean nothing.
Right.
But the other
I
thing,
think it'd be funny as fuck, like, because like he's a good fighter. Like Deadpool is like I want a film adaptation. Will we ever get a film adaptation of Deadpool kills the MCU or the Marvel Universe? Please.
I would love to see that in at least What If. Like they did Marvel
Yeah,
Zombies.
yeah, that's a perfect what if actually.
Yeah, they did have Marvel Zombies in that, so like they could do it for fucking What If. Like that is one of the
Because there is going to be a season 2 of What If, right?
Yeah, they've already confirmed it, and one of the episodes that was
Imagine.
going to be in this past season ended up getting shifted to that season because of time constraints.
Imagine for a second, right? A
Mhm.
Ryan Reynolds voiced, like because they brought in all the other people except
Mhm.
for Spider-Man. No, okay, so you fucking Ryan Reynolds voicing like because like we haven't really seen a super serious side of his Deadpool in the movies. Like Ryan, you've read Deadpool Kills the Marvel
I
Universe,
own
right?
it.
Okay, so you remember how it goes down? Like, if I remember correctly, he's like a therapist is trying to fix his insanity, and then he does, but like then he gets all super serious and shit, right?
Mhm.
So like, God, imagine Ryan Reynolds doing that, but like super serious acting, and like, oh my God, it'd be beautiful. And
Yeah, and here's the thing though, like a lot of the characters that are in that are under the Fox banner. So,
well, they'd change it around for sure. They would do
well,
the same
now
thing.
that
So
the
instead,
Fox is absorbed into Disney, I don't think any of that matters. It's just like
oh,
how
glorious.
quickly they can get that.
I wouldn't even care if they got rid of like the X-Men, and I don't give a fuck. I just want to see that because there's that scene where he goes to the fucking Avengers headquarters and he kills them all by putting like Pym particles into their coffee. Doesn't he like make them swallow like boats and cars and shit?
It was insane. And then
Ugh.
his showdown with Punisher, like there's so much in that
Well,
fucking
and
comic.
then he fucking jumps out of the comic and like kills the artists. So like
Yep.
they in the what if they'd have to he'd jump out and he'd fucking find the animators like animating it.
Yeah, and then he would jump out and find Kevin Feige, and he would. Deadpool kills Kevin Feige.
Dude,
I want this the more we talk about it.
Because like, he would just be like, because like Deadpool would just be like, I just want my existence to end, and it will never fucking end until you fuckers stop drawing me.
Right, and you know, if Kevin Feige was ever to step away from the MCU, that would be a great way to write him out. You know, like I'm leaving, putting it in the hands of this person, so I'm going to kill off my quote unquote character I portrayed for 10 fucking years here, heading it up.
Oh my God. Well, anyway, final.
The final thing I really want to get out of this moving forward is once we play catch up, because I feel like that's a lot of what we're doing here. Like we've been playing catch up with all the stuff that was behind production schedule, and they want to get it out of the editor room before it leaks or whatever. Once we get past this catch up phase, I would like them to slow back down and focus on making more important stories. And what I mean by that is now that we've gotten confirmation that Charlie Cox is coming in as Daredevil, we've had Miss Marvel being one of the Disney Plus shows. We have Moon Knight. We have all these interesting. I would love to see certain street level characters get more of a chance. We got the Defenders universe that was on Netflix. And it shows that those types of stories can work on film or on screen. So now we could end up getting Heroes for Hire. We could get stuff like Damage Control. We could get all of these like lesser known groups. Damage Control being the ones that clean up after all the fucking events. You saw bits and pieces of them in the. Remember how they used to do those short films in the movies on the special features? Like Hail to the King.
I don't know if Vulture was part of that or not, but in the first Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider, have you been rewatching the Spider-Mans?
I'm slowly doing that. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta hurry up.
I don't see it until the 22nd, so I got plenty of time.
Oh my God! Good luck not getting spoiled.
I logged the fuck out of Twitter at 12 a.m.
Well, anyway, in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man, Vulture is like part of a group that's like cleaning up all their shit. I don't know if that's part of it or not, but.
They kind of heavily implied that was part of it, but they never really named it being part of Damage Control. But like that was an integral part of like the animated universe. You saw them a lot in like the Ultimates or the last Spider-Man comic or cartoon that was on Disney XD before I got rid of cable, where he had Tiger and Iron Fist and Power Man, all that shit in it. But yeah, like I would love to see those smaller, lesser known groups get a little bit of a spotlight in those because them being so important to all these various stories, and having Heroes for Hire would give a chance for fucking Luke Cage to be introduced into the MCU, and slowly building up more and more of the more important stories as they get along, like New Avengers, the fucking all fucking Jesus Christ. Other teams besides the fucking main Avengers, like there's West Coast Avengers, Great Lake Avengers. There's so many different little groups.
Yeah, they can slowly build this world, and like
Right.
honestly, what I'm looking forward to, my take on it would be as you go forward, you just kind of like don't be afraid to let your teams do like experimental shit. Like I think WandaVision was phenomenal, and I really want more shit like that. Even Loki to an extent was
fucking
like,
Loki was so goddamn good, dude.
Yeah. So like more shit like that, I think would be great. I mean, because I'm really looking forward to because Guardians of the Galaxy is always good. I'm looking forward to that. And then
that was a series. That was a team I knew nothing about before that.
Yeah,
right. And
the new Doctor Strange too is really exciting because it's done by Sam Raimi, the guy who did the Tobey Spider-Man. So that's cool.
Please, no dance sequence, please. Or actually, please. That way we can have like Tobey Maguire cringe dance and Doctor Strange cringe dance side by side. But no, like.
But yeah, final thoughts because I need to go shopping.
So like moving forward, that's kind of the direction I'd like to see it going. And the Disney Plus shows allowing you to do more experimental things, and then the films allowing you to grow those plans versus trying to cram all of it into like so many different aspects of the fucking MCU. And the What If series is such an important part of Marvel history that I want to see it continue past 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. Because
I mean that's probably one of the more easy, not in terms of like the animation's really good, of course, but like in terms of like conceptually, that's a really easy show to make because you don't have to follow rules, you don't have to worry about breaking canon, you can just do anything.
And there are some of the craziest fucking stories that ever came out of that. If you ever,
they clearly don't worry too much about ratings either, because I mean like that Ultron one was violent as fuck.
Yeah, fucking the Marvel Zombies was violent, but like that had to be. There's so much that needs to happen in such a short amount of time to them, but realistically, you have 80 years of history to come through, and by the time the MCU hits like we're kind of bored with it, they can just do what they do with the comics and reboot the entire fucking MCU. That's the glorious thing about having comic properties is there's no actual rules to it other than what the ratings board puts you up to. So they can go as dark.
Final question. Who, because you'll probably know this and I won't, who is like the next big bad, do you think, in the MCU after Thanos?
I would love to say it's Galactus. But it's probably Kang the Conqueror after we saw hints of that in Loki.
Oh yeah, that's who that guy was, right? The black guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Kang the Conqueror, fucking phenomenal character. I would have loved to have seen Galactus. Like, Arishem in Eternals, kind of same-ish race of beings. So, that kind of got me thinking, like, was that Galactus at the end? No, it was just Arishem coming back. So, yeah, there's...
I hear big shit about the interviews I've seen about Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, is that because right now the phase we're in right now is like confirming, like, yep, the multiverse is opening, right? And from what I hear from Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, it's just like the final confirmation. Like Spider-Man is that it's happening. Here's all the shit coming through the multiverse. Everyone's shocked about it. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness is most likely just going to be like the big confirmation. Like, yep, we're in the multiverse now, and here's Doctor Strange time to deal with that.
Yeah, and that's their way of being able to introduce like the Fantastic Four, Blade, all these characters.
That's exciting. Oh, do you think they'll bring back like the OG actors for Fantastic Four?
Well, I mean, Chris Evans was Human Torch, so like.
Oh, it's true. wait, that's. You thought you escaped the MCU, Chris Evans. You're back. Your old character died, and you're back.
Yeah, that's kind of the joke that's been going around is like when they bring it back, like you can just put on a different set of latex, or spandex. But like no, like the Multiverse of Madness, like it being the way to introduce those characters, is fucking genius. But it's also terrifying when you think about it, because now you're introducing the rules of the X-Men into a set of rules that mutants had never existed, and you had written mutants out of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are mutants. You know, they were
Well, yeah,
gifted.
I mean, they're creating their own thing. I think that we need to kind of, the comics are whatever. Like, this is a totally different thing. You don't got to worry about the comics. They're writing their own story here. So
But
in this
also,
version,
the MCU has retconned their own shit. So, like the kid at the end of Endgame was the kid that was in Iron Man 3, and they had introduced Peter Parker in Iron Man 2 in their universe. So, like they've kind of self-retconned as they've went along. So it wouldn't be without the rules to be like, actually, the Gifted was just another word for mutants, and we didn't know what they were yet until
yeah,
this.
there's a lot of ways to solve it.
Yeah.
Like when you watch something that's this sprawling, you have to kind of be a little forgiving with canon.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I know
absolutely.
this. I know this from Doctor Who, right? Like anything that has like multiple different writers working on one universe canon, there's gonna be fucky wucky shit. There's gonna be
Absolutely.
There's gonna be moments where you have to kind of sit down and say, all right, head canon, this, that, and that's how we make it make sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're gonna fucking lose your mind trying to figure out everything.
Yeah, try figuring out the X-Men timeline in the fucking comics, and you'll want therapy.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna
like,
go grocery shopping.
yeah,
I'm looking forward to the future of the MCU, and I guess I'll let you wrap this video up, David.
Yeah, so just that's kind of where we're going to be going here moving forward, and I'm excited, cautiously optimistic, and I really do look forward to the future of the MCU, but I'm also terrified with introducing so many projects at once. So here's to the next 10 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, I can't even imagine where it's gonna, like, the multiverse shit is gonna be fascinating.
Oh, dude!
Like, I mean, for all we know, we could see a live action cross Spider-Verse at some point.
I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that. Like the Spider-Verse comic is still one of my most common rereads, so I would love to see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I just hope I want to see them get more and more experimental, do wacky, crazy shit. That's what I'm excited for. So yeah, good. That was a great video, David. Thanks for having me on it. You can go ahead and just upload it and then like schedule it for. Oh, we should probably like end the video. Goodbye.
Bye.
So yeah, you can go ahead and upload that and schedule it for like